All right, everyone. So today we're here with my student Rami. Rami is going to go over his situation more in depth, how he really managed to quit. He's going to give you guys really insights, not only as for his situation before quitting porn and seeing really what was the struggle for him and how his life is now that he left porn, but as well as what actually really helped him when it comes to quitting. He has a few things that he wants to go over, which we're about to go over. But first, Rami, if you can really introduce yourself, what was your situation before quitting porn?
Yeah, my name is Rami, and my situation has probably been like a lot of other men. Started off very young. When I was 11, 12. Was actually masturbating before I knew that I hit puberty. And, start off looking at pictures of naked women, and then with time, videos, and over the years, I just found myself revisiting those porn or videos multiple times a day, um, and drove me to a point where I was doing it pretty much any time I was alone, as soon as I was alone. Um, Growing up a few years later at 15, 16, trying to, you know, start having a girlfriend because all my friends were having girlfriends. And I just found myself, instead of trying to put effort into talking into a girl or getting to know a girl, it was much easier to just watch porn and thinking that that would be enough to, satisfy my needs and give me the confidence that I need, feeling sexy enough for
Yeah.
girls. Um, and I realized that with time, you know, wanted to be alone, and that made me very isolated from people. And when I'm around people, my so-called social battery would die off very quickly. But that's because I was just very numb to everything around me. Um, Whatever people were going through, I wasn't able to connect with them, wasn't able to, hold a real conversation. And then growing up more and more and having girlfriends and having, some sexual intimacy with them, um, I realized didn't feel good, it didn't feel right, but if it did feel good, I still went back to porn. And there was that, you know, disconnect between how I felt being with an actual girl and how I felt alone watching porn. Um, and then obviously whatever I watched on those videos was not replicable in real life. And that was very disappointing at first. Um, and yeah, that led me to a lot of lustful thoughts, and I was stuck in this cycle where I would just talk to girls just to get anything sexual out of them, and then as soon as they don't give it, like I expected them to, because that's what porn taught me. It was very simple. You just ask for it and you get it.
Mm.
I was disappointed and I'd go back to the porn. Um, so yeah, that's how it was for almost what, 10, 12, 15 years?
A decade, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, even more.
Yeah, even what, 10 to, okay, 10 to 15 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And really, I remember you said that the maximum, like essentially your longest streak, quote unquote, even though we don't like to use the word streak, was 2 weeks before.
Yeah, yeah, I think I remember that one very clearly. It was after I, was in a very sad phase of my life, and I decided that I need to stop watching porn, and I stopped for like 2 weeks. And the day I came back stronger than ever, watching porn like 7 times that day, and masturbating, and it was just a very scary feeling. I remember waking up the day after that and I'm like, wow, like there is no escape from that.
Mm.
And it just felt very hopeless. And I was, tell myself that, it's okay. I'm a good guy, but I guess this will be the sin or the habit that will be stuck with me forever, and I'll just have to live with it. But yeah, I couldn't go more than 2 weeks. That was the longest. On other occasions, it'd be like 2, 3 days, 4 by max. Regardless of my situation, whether I was happy, sad, working out, having a girlfriend, not having a girlfriend, having actual sex, not having sex, I couldn't go without porn for more than 2, 3 days.
Well, yeah. And it's very common that people, like, especially men of faith in general, they think, okay, yeah, I can quit all of the other bad habits. I can, in general, like, quit many of the big sins. But when it comes to PMO, when it comes to lust, it's like there's a different mindset. It's like, no, but this one, I don't think we can actually quit. Yeah, maybe when I get married, I'll quit, for example. But it's one of those things that a lot of people feel hopeless, like you describe. And can you just like go over briefly, like what have you tried to really quit over that time, over those past few years?
Yeah, so when I started realizing it was a problem is when I was starting to get to know girls and, have a girlfriend and realizing that, I don't feel that much pleasure. Um, I started to, first of all, tell myself, okay, I need to stop this. But obviously, I fell back into it. I tried, putting my, like, eliminating the source, putting my phone in a different room. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching porn on the laptop.
Yeah.
I tried to, increase my spirituality, to pray, which did help for a little bit, but then as soon as I forget to pray or I'm not in the right mood to pray, then I found myself watching porn again. I also tried a few, what do you call them? The porn block apps.
Yeah.
And I mean, they helped, like I said, for a day or two, and then it'll get to a point where, okay, I'll use the other device that doesn't have the porn block.
Yeah.
Um, and all of these methods, they always felt they, in a way, magnified the issue for me rather than
Mm.
try to solve the issue. And a lot of them even tried to be, from a religious approach, which I thought was, interesting in the beginning. Like, yeah, God does not want you to do this. Sex is not made this way. Sex is made for something more beautiful. But even with that, in certain moments when I was alone, I would still find a way to watch porn. So yeah, these are most of the methods that I tried. I tried the mindset of like, oh, when you feel the urge, just talk to someone or go exercise. Um, and that would work 1 out of 5 times. It's
Uh-huh.
very hard to upkeep. It's very hard to have people who are, available to call anytime. And then it's also hard to, step out of the room because the second I used to step into watching porn or looking at pornographic images or whatever, there's no coming back. Like I'm gonna keep watching until I release or until I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are pretty much the methods I've tried. So I can tell I tried a lot of them, if not all of them.
Yeah. Most people they've tried like all of the different techniques that exist, and it's often these techniques or quote unquote methods are really about, okay, like let's suppress that desire, and like suppressing the desire, as we know, just mentally it really drains us and makes us just like give in essentially. So now before like we go into, okay, like what really helped you in terms of quitting, like what was like the advice that you can even like give to the people watching this, what is your situation now that you left, that really made that progress essentially when it comes to quitting porn, and now you moved on, like how's, you can say, your life, how's everything now?
Well, I think to start off very, generally, it's definitely better in all possible ways. In terms of my spiritual life, I don't feel like a hypocrite anymore. I'm able to, follow God and His commandments as well as possibly can. I mean, we're all sinners. And be aware that this is where I struggle the most, so this is where I'll ask God for more help, but then God will not, you know, work on it unless you do first. He wants you to put in the effort. He wants you to try, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And thanks to you, that's what we were able to achieve. And so spiritually, I don't feel like a hypocrite, and mentally too. I always just tell myself I'm an honest and transparent person, and I'm able to be that person in pretty much every topic, and except for when it came to lust and relationships and all that. But now I am, and it makes me feel so good. It's like what they say, like the freedom, freedom sets you. Sorry, the truth sets you free.
Yeah.
And I'm finally able to live out the truth. You know, you believe in the truth, you try to follow it, but when you're able to fully live it out, it's a whole different feeling. It feels good to know that I can control it. You know, that it's not something that I am unable to control like I used to think. So our relationship have grown even better. And then my relationship with other people as well. I feel like I have a lot more energy to tolerate other people's problems, to help them, to listen to them. Even if they're not as close, it's good to be, you know, present for those people. Because sometimes all you have to do is listen. You don't even have to say anything, and they'll just, by saying it out loud, they realize what they just said.
Uh-huh.
So I'm able to be there for people. And, you know, the two biggest things have been my self-confidence and productivity. My
Yeah.
self-confidence is something that I've struggled with pretty much all my life. I think that's what porn took away from me in a way where instead of talking to girls and being more social, I was isolated watching porn. But now, you know, with the confidence, I'm able to express myself and express myself properly, even though you know, some people might not like it. And I was able to do that, you know, during my most recent exit interview. I ended up leaving this job for a better job. And I was able to tell them the truth. Like, I didn't like this because of this reason, because of that reason, and be honest with them. Like, it's okay. Let's, you know, agree to disagree. And that's something that I don't think I would have ever been able to do if I didn't have that confidence. You know,
Yes, that's
even
true.
though I had the same thoughts in my head, but I was never able to express them. And now I feel very, very grateful that I am able to express them. So yeah, my self-confidence has definitely improved. It's not something that I, you know, thought was necessary because I was always like, oh, people are confident or cocky, but there's a fine line between confident and cocky, and I feel like today I'm able to
Express yourself.
distinguish that line and yeah, be able to express myself properly. And the best one of all is productivity. I really did not realize how much time I wasted watching porn.
Yeah.
Being productive now, like avoiding using screen time, but if I am using screen time, it's like, okay, what am I using it for? Learning something new, trying to work on my investment skills, um, and you know, seeking more out of life basically for growth as I'm preparing to get married and as I'm preparing to, you know, God willing, have a family, to be ready for all these things because you know, a lot of those things they don't come easy and they don't come without preparation. And instead of waiting for them to happen and then, oh, okay, what am I gonna do now? And stressing out. No, just planning in advance. And sometimes it's not that hard. It's just a 10-minute plan. You know, write it down. You come back the next day. You write to it more. You add it. You just have those things there. So yeah, spending my screen time properly doing those things has been amazing. Um, and yeah, I just feel like I can get so much done throughout the day. I have so much time throughout the day to get things done. So it's it's been amazing. I feel like I am like on the whole time, which can get a little difficult for my wife because she's not used to seeing me, you know, that proactive on things and like that willing to do things right away. But it's a good problem to have. It's
Yeah,
a
for
very
sure.
good problem to have. So yeah, that's those are my biggest changes, and you know, you wouldn't you wouldn't be able to. to see those changes like without seeing where I started in the beginning, and I wouldn't expect like if I tell someone this story, they probably think I was addicted to something much bigger. But truly, it was the porn that prevented me from reaching all those things that I have today. And it's just so good to know that it was all in my control the whole time, and
Yeah,
I just needed
definitely.
to be enlightened that I can do this. And
Hmm.
that's what I got. So yeah.
Okay, so like Rami, like talking about that, talking about like feeling like you're in control, like can you go over like the things that really helped you the most when it comes to quitting porn? Like what we went over and overall, what you found that was like the most valuable to your situation?
Yeah, yeah. I think for me it was realizing that I'm in control. That was like the entry to my rationalizing process. And then yeah, being able to rationalize, well, okay, do I really want to watch porn? What is porn gonna give me today? It's not gonna help in any of my problems. My problems are still gonna be there. It's not gonna help me love my wife better or soon to be wife. It's not going to help me be a better person or be a better dad. And being able to look at the benefits. Okay, if this girl online looks very cute, does she actually? Is it real? Does she really want to be intimate with me? Because as human beings, we have a natural tendency to seek intimacy.
Sure.
But you know, how we seek it is something that God made very clear for us. And I think, a lot of people agree on that too. But
Yes.
regardless if they don't, porn is not providing that intimacy. And once I realized that, you know, what's what's attracting me to the porn is what I think of the porn and not the porn itself.
Yeah.
And I remember when you first said that, our brains, as amazing as they are, God's best creation probably, they can only process one thought at a time. And when you
Yeah,
said
that
that the
mindset.
first time, my my brain blew up. And realizing in that moment that I think, okay, I want to watch porn. The second thought would be like, okay, why do I want to watch porn? And as soon as that kicks in, I'm like, oh, I have no proper answer. I have no benefit if I watch porn right now. But on the other hand, I have tons of benefits that if I don't watch porn, what am I able to do? I'm able to work out instead of wasting 15, 20 minutes watching porn. I can do a 15, 20-minute workout and sweat.
Yeah.
I can go do something to improve my current situation, to look at my finances, to spend quality time with my, fiance, to read, to pray. So just realizing that I never actually wanted to watch porn. I was just escaping everything in my life through porn. And realizing that, you know, porn is not going to help me in any way, in any possible way. Whatever pleasure you might feel is more than temporary. It's just those few seconds. And then the guilt and the shame that comes after it. And even if you don't have any guilt or shame, emotionally or spiritually, practically, nothing has changed for you. Nothing has
Yeah.
improved for you. And that so-called post-nut clarity that I was a huge fan of, I realized I can obtain that clarity without it. I
Right.
can literally obtain that without having to, think about the porn. And if I do think about it, be able to debunk its importance and its value. And that to me was a game changer. Is that I am in control of this. It's not. Yes, the devil works in a lot of ways, but it's not the devil attacking me. It's not those girls inviting me, even though the ads pop up on every screen. um,
Yeah.
it's me who is in control of all of this. So those were one of the biggest things with these personalized videos. They were very motivational at first, and that external motivation was very necessary for me to find that intrinsic motivation, which we spoke about, and its importance, because, the key for all of this is for you to not want to watch porn. If the whole world wants you to stop watching porn, but you don't want to stop watching porn, then this won't help.
Yeah.
But being able to, intrinsically motivate myself very, calmly instead of forcing myself or suppressing myself from not watching it or throwing my phone into the other room. Um, Intrinsically being motivated, be like, oh, okay, I feel this urge. If you want to call it an urge, it's just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I have this thought I want to watch porn, but the second thought is, okay, do I really want to? And then you're able to, as simple as it sounds, talk yourself out of it and be motivated to do other things that will relieve some of the problems you have, face some of the problems you have, or just use your time wisely. And once I was able to do that, it became much easier. Yes, I'm still a human being. I get horny. I
Yeah.
think of sex, but I don't have to act on it. And, you know, God is able to help you out of these temptations once you're able to acknowledge the temptation itself and what it is that you're actually feeling. Um, you know, so that's what helped me the most, with those personalized videos, being able to look at the history that I've had with porn, the perception that I had of porn, which is very important, and also why did I like watching porn, or why did I, like I used to tell you, I automatically go to porn. So those were the things that helped the most.
Before you joined the coaching, because I remember our initial conversation, you weren't really sure, like, okay, like, should I do this, should I not do this? Can you tell me about like the doubts that you had in your mind, and when it comes to quitting porn, when it comes to overall just like this journey of freedom, like what were the doubts that you had?
Yeah, my biggest doubt would be like, because obviously I've dabbled in with a lot of other um, apps or, advertisements I used to see on my social media and all that, and a lot of them felt very, like a business type of thing, and a lot of them were
Mm,
talking about problems that I did not personally have. So when you and I had the conversation, it was very different. And I still had doubts about like how will you how will this help me, uh, fix the physiological changes that happen to my brain, um,
mm,
that they used to talk about. Um,
yes.
and I also had other doubts of like how will I be able to be intimate with my wife again, or my fiance. How will I be able to be intimate with her if all I think about is porn and porn is, taking over my life? Um, and then think about all these so-called studies of like your body needs to ejaculate every 20 days or whatever, or how many times per month. Um, so yeah, those are where the doubts of like, okay, physiologically and biologically and true intimacy, like those are the things where, as a human being, I was very, scared for. Um, but I feel like those doubts were very easily cleared up. What has it been? Less than a little over 2 months. Um,
Mhm.
and from the conversation we had, I realized in the beginning that, this wasn't like your typical approach where they try to magnify the problem instead of getting into how to fix the problem, which I was very appreciative of. Um, and then, you know, watching the videos that you have in your video library, and then being able to talk about them, and you providing resources for me to look into the actual research itself, where addiction is probably something that was socially constructed, whether it's porn or other physical substance, and realizing how society puts a certain terms to help you know um, in a way, force people to think about certain things that may not be true, but
Yeah.
with the massive propaganda and with it being in your face, in the music and in the media and the news and everything that you absorb, eventually you come to believe it. So and then realizing that all of this was just, BS that we were being fed, and physiological changes to your brain are not real, and if they are, it's very easy to be, cleared up, because your brain is a sponge. It will adapt to anything you'll go through. And
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
the intimacy with my wife was something that, naturally just sprung back up, like it's like I've never kissed her.
Mhm.
It's something that I didn't have to work on or think about, because as soon as I rationalized what is it that I truly want from this life, my affection towards her and my attraction towards her just randomly grew, that I don't think we even had to discuss it before. It was not something
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, Samir, I need help with this. I don't know what to do. Matter of fact,
Uh-huh.
it grew on its own naturally, which was something very, very beautiful for me to experience. Like I was falling in love with her all over again. Um, and then the body needs too. Like when they say that the body needs ejaculation, or your semen needs to be released. And if that is true, well, that's what wet dreams exist for. Um, I don't think I've had like less than 3 wet dreams my whole life, because I always used to watch porn. But when I went for 3 weeks without releasing, I had a wet dream on my own. And I
Yeah, the first two
released,
weeks, yeah.
and yeah, and it felt very funny, because like, oh wow, this I didn't think that this would happen to me this quick. But
Yeah.
when my body truly needed it, it did it on its own, without my consent, without my thought, without my efforts, naturally, without me being
Uh-huh.
even conscious. So that was very rewarding to me, to realize that yes, if the body needs to do it, it will do it regardless. I don't need to force it. I don't need to find the girl. I don't need to watch porn. Um, and I took it as a sign from God, like, when there's something that you can't handle, He will find a way to help you out of it. So
Yep.
all these difficulties and all these struggles to, end this whole porn love and excess of watching porn, as soon as it ended, God was able to take care of the bodily needs. So yeah,
Yep.
it's amazing that all this happened in less than 2 months, you know?
Yeah. And it's really good that you mentioned this, because a lot of people think, well, okay, I need to get a release. And let's say, for example, they're not married. So they're like, I need to get a release, but all I have is masturbation. But then they don't realize that, like, okay, if God has forbade, for example, masturbation, made it a sin, then, like, don't you think that the body will find a way to like release on its own, like meaning like that there will be like a way out, you can say. Of course there's marriage, which is obviously like the best way to go about it, but the body also has a way to just essentially cleanse itself. And on top of that, when it comes to addiction, right, if we really add a non-secular perspective to that, addiction, if we really lost control, because you talked about like the physiological changes that happen maybe to your brain that you were essentially scared of. If we really had our brain completely wired in a way that we had no more control over ourselves, just over this like porn itself, then it would mean that we wouldn't even be accountable for our actions. But that's not the case. We are the one taking the decision. Of course, you talked about like the brain changes, and just to clarify to everyone, like the brain changes are something that happens naturally within every single behaviors that we just repetitively do, or things that we think about on a daily basis, for example, because our brain wants to adapt. This is what we call neuroplasticity. So that's very
True.
good you mentioned those things. And lastly, like, what were like your favorite parts about overall quitting porn and like the program as a whole?
I feel like for me, it was definitely, to be practical, is its efficiency. From the
Yeah.
beginning, you and I were very clear with each other of, what do I truly want? And what
Yes.
are you able to provide? I think both of us were very clear, and that's what helped the most.
Yep.
And you know, I thought this will be a program where like you hold me accountable and like you call me every day and be like, "Hey, Rami,
No,
make sure you don't watch porn." But that wasn't the case. Matter of fact, it
it's
was
not like that.
me reaching out to you like, "Hey, Samir, I don't need to watch porn," which was
I remember, yeah.
yeah, yeah, very very rewarding for me. And I feel like the the biggest part was something that I feel like I've always believed in other forms of addiction, but I never thought to apply it on porn. I don't
Yes,
believe
yes.
in someone getting addicted to drugs or cigarettes or anything because when I dabbled a little bit with those things, I was able to rationalize like, okay, I don't need to smoke cigarettes. I have a soccer league coming up. I need to stop. And I would stop for 8, 9 months. League is over. Oh, let's have a cigarette. No problem. And
Yeah,
then you know, being with my fiance again, she's like, "Oh, I don't like the fact that you smoke." Okay, I'll stop. But then, like, it was so easy for me to stop. I didn't have, and then even with video games, I realized like, okay, I really love playing video games. Does it negatively affect me? Sometimes it does. Okay, I'll stop. Being able to use this process that we used here for porn for pretty much everything. Like this is the
yeah,
method to apply in any sort of thing that you have a excess love for. And I don't like using the word
yes,
addiction anymore. I don't think it's a real thing. You just have an excess love for something, something you're familiar with, something you habitually use, but not necessarily addicted to. So
yeah,
being this aware about all of this has been just amazing for me, and the confidence that I was able to gain, and then definitely feeling like our conversations and our way of communication did not feel like you were uh, commanding me or forcing me to do things. Matter of fact, you were just helping me learn more about myself and about what would work for me and how I'm able to be in control of all of this. So it was a proper form of guidance
yes,
and mentorship, which I feel like is very necessary for a lot of people in life, not just with, porn or masturbation or any of the problems, but helping people find the truth within themselves. And that's
yes,
something I was very, very grateful to. And yeah, I just feel like the crazy productivity that I have now is that my checklist used to just my to-do list used to just grow, and now it keeps getting smaller and smaller, where I have to update it.
yeah,
And yeah, I feel like this program was something that I wasn't, expecting, and due to the media and how it portrays porn, um, and being able to realize that, porn is just another thing that you can decide to not do, not watch.
yes,
So yeah, I really, really like this program, and I don't think I can recommend it enough. And you and I have talked about this before, where, I feel like this message is very important that I'm willing to share with others and let them know that, a lot of people don't want to talk about porn or lust or PMO. And a lot of people treat it like, oh yeah, we're all men, we all want to do this, we all have this problem, and just,
yeah,
sweep it under the rug. But I think it should be exposed, it should be talked about, and this is the right way to talk about it because everything comes from within. So yeah, I am more than happy that I'm able to do this, but I'm also looking forward to spread this message with any certain person who wants to actually quit porn. So yeah,
yeah. Really happy to hear that. And it's just on a flip side, I remember when we had like because we had like one-on-one coaching calls like about every
yeah,
week on average. And every week he will come like, oh yeah, I did this, like I was productive. I started doing a to-do list. Like we saw like the progress in that sense, not just when it comes to going porn, but over different areas of your life. Oh yeah, I just learned about this and now I'm gonna apply this. You were really essentially, like you said, proactive, and that's just amazing to see. So thank you, Rami. Thank you for sharing your testimony. And I hope that you guys were able to essentially learn from this. And I'll see you guys in the next video.